welcome back to another video. And for me, at least, welcome back to the first day of the summer holiday. Oh my goodness me, what a great feeling. I tell you what, if you don't work in education and you're watching these videos, and if you've never worked in education, you will not understand the sense of euphoria that comes for the majority, I think I speak on behalf of the majority of educators, when you come to the last day of the academic year. There is no hiding, there is no trying to pretend that we are saints and that we would rather spend every waking hour with those little darlings that we call our pupils. There is no hiding the fact that we want this holiday. No hiding the fact that we have had this holiday in our sights, for me at least, probably since January. Because it's just like, you know what, things can be really tough when you're working in school. And although many people say, oh, but you get 13 weeks holiday, oh, but you get this many weeks holiday. Yeah, we do, because we deserve it, yeah? You come and work in a school, and I've seen a lot of videos on TikTok and Instagram where people have gone on school trips for the day, and they were like, you know what? I bow to teachers, I bow to them, because clearly it's not an easy job. And it's not. And anyone that thinks it is, they're a joker and they ain't got a clue. So I am very happy that it is the first day of the summer holidays, and I am getting a workout in before I fly off to the sunny Isle of Jamaica. Whoop, whoop. Going off to celebrate my daughter's 30th birthday. She's already over there. Me and my husband are travelling over there, and I'm telling you, I am planning to have a blast. I'm planning to have an absolute blast. But before I do that, and before I start relaxing, and I will be taking my gym gear and my camera and my microphone out, because I am going to record a video. It's Mrs. Wilson's gym abroad. I wanted to talk about SATs. Now, we know what happened with the whole debacle around SATs, we know that, but I wanted to talk about it from a different perspective. Now, for those who are new to my channel, first and foremost, welcome. My name is Amanda. I am the head teacher of a primary school in South London, and I'm wondering how this sound is going to sound, because this microphone is just bobbing up and down in my face. So let me just sort this out. Hopefully that has rectified it. So yeah, I am a head teacher at a primary school in South London. Absolutely love my job, but not going to lie, there are some parts that are really hard, and there are some times when I think, what would be an easier job to do? And then I think, but I don't want to do an easier job, because I like the challenge. And this year in particular has been a challenge because of various factors, and those factors include having to teach in year 6 3 days a week for a term. And when I say having to, I had no choice. If I wanted to have a class where they were settled, where we tried to get through to SATs in one piece, and where we tried to make sure they had a really positive end to their time at primary school. So I had to take year 6. And then Ofsted, and then SATs debacle, and then just trying to fit everything else in between. So it's been a year. It's been a year, and it's been an opportunity for me to reflect on my role as a head teacher and decide, do I enjoy it? Yes, I do. Do I want to continue? Absolutely. Would I recommend it? I would, you know. I would recommend the role of a head teacher. But what I have come to realise, having come to the end of this academic year, is about SATs. And I think I'm not disillusioned. Am I disillusioned? Maybe I'm disillusioned. Maybe I'm just like, I don't know, over it. Because for me, having gone through 6 months or so working with Year 6 and understanding what they're like up close and personal as a class, seeing how hard they've worked, and they have worked really hard. They've really, considering in the autumn term, they had 3 different teachers, 3 different teachers, because the first teacher that we employed decided a few weeks in that she didn't enjoy the class and it wasn't what she thought it would be. An experienced Year 6 teacher wasn't what she thought it would be, and so decided to just quit on the Friday with no notice. She was from an agency. We had done everything properly. We had employed this person from May last year, so we were on it when it came to recruitment last academic year. We were on it. We had a teacher. She interviewed well. We thought she was going to be fantastic. She had lots of ideas, great, and then she just didn't gel with the class for whatever reason. Because she's agency, just able to up and leave, which obviously for the children, really, really hurtful. And one of the things that we forget is that children are still children, regardless of how annoying and how, I don't know, how annoying and how just annoying they can be, but they're also really lovely. And understandably, I have to look at it from a psychological point of view, and realising that they are the sum total of their experiences. And no child is born naughty, no child is born disrespectful, no child is born, it's a sum total of their environment. And as educators, our role is to help them to navigate all of the challenges that they have, help them to navigate the emotions that they experience, help them to navigate all of these things to become rounded individuals. And so when you come across a challenging class, yeah, it's really hard, especially when you've got 30 of them in the same class, which this Year 6 class, that was not the case. There were not, this Year 6 class, and by no means, I mean, this Year 6 class was one of the loveliest classes that we've had. And that's why lots of us at that school were baffled when this person decided it wasn't for them, and that they found it too challenging. And also the kind of systems that we had in place, they thought it wasn't for them. And it's like, no, that's correct. You have to find the right school for you. But having worked closely with these Year 6s and having seen them grow into Year 6s, I taught them for a term in Year 2 because their class teacher went on long-term sickness just after COVID. She had long COVID, so me and the assistant head at the time, we took the class. They were lovely. They were an eclectic bunch. And it's one of those ones where I think, I'd love to see you in Year 6. I'd love to see what you're going to be like in Year 6. And unbeknownst to me, that was an opportunity I was going to have. But they overcome a lot as individuals. And even just thinking about this and thinking about them is kind of building up, some emotion, because you've got children in that class who had really difficult challenges trying to process their emotions. So it came out, it erupted. And a lot of the time it erupted. Lots of real pent-up anger. But to see them yesterday and to see where they ended up made me the proudest head teacher ever. And I had to say to a lot of them, you have come so far. You will continue to go far. You will do well. You will excel. You will succeed. You have the potential to do great things, because that is genuinely what I felt. And so then when I thought about our SATs results, that's when I thought, there is this disparity between what society, what the government, whoever it is, what they want and what our children need. And there's a balance, but it's a balance about what is most important. Now, pause that because I need to do my workout. So today I'm not doing deadlifts because I've had a bit of discomfort with my hips. I'm a woman of a certain age, so I've got to look after my hips. So just doing a few things just to ease off. So we're still going for the 100k deadlift. That is still in our sights, but I need to make sure I look after my body. So my coach has given me some barbell B stance rear leg deadlifts. And I've never heard of those before. Don't know what the B stands for. And then I've got to do lots of 6 Bulgarian split squats. So in between me chatting away, that's what I'll be doing. So these are assistance movements to help me to kind of get my hip, not my mobility, because my hip mobility is fine, but just to make sure that I'm not doing any extra injuries. So just easing off on the hip work for now. So these Bulgarian what are they called now? These barbell B stance rear leg deadlifts are quite interesting. Quite interesting. Bear with me. Just finished my first set of the barbell B stance rear leg deadlifts, and the Bulgarian split squats are, they're tough, but I'll show you during the next set. But yeah, so I can't remember what I was saying before, but anyway, when I got to the end of yesterday, and then reading through the cards that I got from the children and the parents, and just watching them as they said their last goodbyes, and again, even as I'm talking about this, there's a level of emotion that's rising up in me, because our SATs results were not very good, and they were not good. Alexa off, were not very good, and this is the first time in 3 years or so that they've been this bad. We've usually been in line or above national. So this year they weren't. This year they are below national. But I have to say, the first time that we were below national, this is a few years ago, a few years into my headship, I remember I had an email from someone from the local authority to say, your SATs results are rubbish, you need to come in and talk to us and justify it. And oh my gosh, I went into a panic. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get sacked, I'm gonna get fired, my chair of governors is gonna think I'm rubbish, the staff are gonna think I'm rubbish, I went into meltdown. This was before I started training to be a counsellor, this was before I started going to therapy, so I didn't have that opportunity to understand what was happening and to process it. But back then, there's this thing called the LASM, the Local Authority something or other, SM, I can't remember what it stands for. But we had to basically, me and my chair of governors had to go sit in front of the Director of Children's Services, the Assistant Director of Children's Services, and the Head of School Improvement. And we had to be like, this is why our SATs results look this way, this is what's happened, this is why, we kind of justify why our SATs results look so bad. And then we got support from the local authority. Fine, great. I did overstress when that email came in from the local authority back then. This was probably 2021, say, 2020-21. Must be 2021. So yeah, so I did really panic then. Now, the results are below national, way below national, and I think about the class, and I think, you know what, this time round the SATs results are not what's most important. Because I look at how far some of those children in that class have come. I look at how some of them have gone from regularly having blow-ups at lunchtime and at playtimes, having interactions with each other that led to emotional dysregulation on a regular basis. I think about some of the children who, not school refusers, but really struggled to integrate into the classroom. I think about those students who have experienced trauma this academic year, genuine trauma this academic year. I think about those students who started new in the school and had to make friends and had to kind of navigate the whole difficulty of being new into a class so late into the primary year. I think about those children who come to school and feel safe, who come to school and know that they have staff who will be there for them. I think about those children who tried with such might to the point where we knew that they probably wouldn't get the expected standard, but that didn't stop these children from trying their hardest, asking for extra homework, coming to booster classes, doing all the things that they needed to do because they wanted to be better. Some of the children in that year 6 class, they persevered like nobody would know. Some of the children in that class, they came with other barriers to their learning. Barriers that were barriers to their learning, but they didn't allow them to be, and we didn't allow them to be, because we still pushed them the same way. We still made sure they had the same opportunities. We still made sure that we put as much effort into them as we did to the children that we thought were going to get expected and greater depth, because that's what they deserve. Every child deserves an adult to make sure they're putting in 100%. Every child deserves an adult who's going to say, you know what, regardless of what your starting point is, I'm going to make sure you finish hard. I'm going to make sure you finish strong. I'm going to make sure you finish in a high. I'm going to make sure you finish in a way that makes you proud of yourself. We had children who really challenged socially, interactions, weren't quite sure how to place themselves, finding their identity. Year 6, Children are finding their identity. They're trying to work out who they are. They're trying to place themselves amongst individuals who have stronger personalities. They've got so much going on. And so when you think about all those things, you think, the SATs? Really? Now, I'm not saying that. And some of you might think, oh, you're only saying that because your SATs results are bad. Maybe I am. Maybe I am. But that is one of the reasons why I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Because this is one cohort, next year's cohort is completely different. Next year's experience will be completely different. This year they had 5 teachers in year 6. Through no fault of their own, through no fault of my own, because there just weren't any decent year 6 teachers out there. And because of the challenge we had in other classes, it wasn't possible at this point to move people round to different classes. That's why I taught. Because we had other classes where to move a teacher mid-year would have meant they would have been impacted greatly. So we had to make some difficult decisions. But I am really proud of the fact that for us, our year 6s are going away knowing that they have staff that really care about them. And they have staff that want the best for them. And they have staff that will challenge them, because trust me, when we were preparing for SATs, when we were going through the last few weeks and months, there were high expectations. We didn't expect children to be, the laziness was not a word in our class, and I called out anybody that I thought that might be not putting in 100%. But some children, and for us it was the maths, some children, it's just not there. And it's just not going to click until later on. And I spoke to somebody, a parent, who got an older daughter, and she was like, yeah, it wasn't until my daughter got to, she was really bad at maths, she didn't do very well in SATs, but when she got to year 9, something clicked. And I think we forget sometimes that children are still developing. Children are still working things out. And us expecting them to meet a certain standard at a certain age, for some children, that's a lot. For next year's cohort, they're not going to have those kind of challenges because they're a different cohort. And that's what we sometimes have to remember, is that it shouldn't be, it's hard to think that, and for those schools, anyone watching that, your school consistently gets those grades, that's great, well done. I applaud you, I really do. But I'm not going to feel ashamed, I'm not going to feel embarrassed, I'm not going to feel like I've failed, I'm not going to feel like previous teachers have failed, I'm not going to feel like parents have failed, the children have failed. I'm not going to be made to feel like, oh, you've done something wrong, because no, we did everything that we could. We did everything right. But these were some of the barriers that those children had. So for me, looking at the SATs results, it was really disappointing. I'm not going to lie, it's still disappointing. But when we went through the children and we went through their papers, and sort of, some of them got a scale score of 99, so you know that those children, we scrutinised their papers, they made silly mistakes. Silly mistakes, which is what you do when you're under pressure. And the children that made those silly mistakes were the children whose confidence levels had grown throughout the year when it came to maths in particular. So for them to get to a point where they're able to sit a paper is a victory in itself. And so for me, it's like, yeah, okay, it's not the result that we wanted, but it's the result that we got. And so we move. And I will remain in my role for as long as I'm wanted in my role, because I know that what I give is that value added. And we have put in everything that we can, and we make change. We've got a solid curriculum, we make tweaks, we make changes, we make sure that it's fit for purpose. But ultimately, things don't always go to plan. And so we know what we could have done differently. We could have had a year 6 teacher, we could have had the same year 6 teacher for the whole year. That's probably what would have made a difference. That's probably what would have made us, enable us to get to the floor standard. But when you've got a teacher, we've got one teacher in the autumn term, you've got another that covers for 2 weeks, and you've got another for the second half of the autumn term, and it's just not working. It's like, okay, the least I can do is step in and get them through the academic year. So SATs are published. Eventually you'll be able to go on my website and see. Will it make a difference to how I feel about the children's achievements? No, because they have achieved great things. And I see that when I look at their faces yesterday and the hugs that I got from children who would not have done that. From children saying, I don't want to go yet, I'm not going yet, I'm not going yet. Didn't want to walk out the school gate. Because this was their place. This was where they felt safe. This is where they knew they were understood. And to the children, I had to say, make sure when you go to secondary school, you find an adult you can trust. You find somebody that when you're feeling that emotion, you know that you can go to. Because that's the biggest thing for me at the end of the academic year, not SATs, is making sure these children know that they will be safe, they will be okay. And it's a sort of a shout out to secondary schools. You know, I know some of you are amazing what you do in terms of pastoral care, but it's just remembering that these children are children and they have histories, and everything that they come with is part of the baggage that they have been given. They did not pick up the bag themselves and carry it. They did not pick up the emotional dysregulation. They did not ask for a bag that contained parents who were abusive. They did not ask for a bag where they had aspects of neurodivergence. They didn't ask for these bags. But yet these bags that they carry, these challenges have been put on their back. And they've got to work out how they can navigate adolescence, childhood, with these bags that they didn't ask for. So bear that in mind when you discipline a child. Bear that in mind when you say to a child, I don't want you in my class, because they've had an outburst. We can still correct them. We can still tell them that what they've done is wrong, but we do it in love. And I think sometimes that's what's missing. And let's get on with these B stance. Yeah, B stance, rear leg deadlift. So bent knee, lats engaged, one leg stays straight, all the way down. And if I also had a plate on it, it wouldn't go down so far, but it's making sure I've got that hinge movement still. So just the hips going down, try and keep that stance. Back straight. Okay, then these Bulgarian split squats. Tell you what, these will have you going 6 on each side. This is where it most hurts. Have to go down as far as possible. I have to make sure I move around a lot when I'm on the plane. It's a 10-hour flight, you know. 10 hours on a flight. So I definitely need to get any compression socks. Oh, this side is tight. Oh, sometimes it's not easy. Oh, that doesn't help either. Sometimes you work out and it's just like, it's 9:30, it's hot, and maybe if I go a bit more, I might kill myself. Oh, okay, 2 sets done. Talk about this bag as well. The SATs is another thing that we put in children's bags as adults and they didn't ask for. So as parents, as society, there is a lot that we put in these backpacks, stick them on the back of children and say, carry that through life. And that's why they struggle, because they're carrying things that they were never meant to carry. I will see you in a bit I'm going to get the last 2 of these assistance moves done and then move on to the AMRAP. I'm back again. This isn't the AMRAP, but I just wanted to show the barbell B stance rear leg deadlift with plates, because I had to do 15 to 20, so I've done two lots of 15 and now 2 lots of 20. This is my second lot of 20, so same stance, bent knee, back leg just in line with the heel, and then hinging, engaging the lats, and then the same as we did before. You can see, don't necessarily have to go down so far when I've got plates on. So I've got a 12-minute AMRAP, as many rounds as possible, a 2-minute bike ride, then 10 plates to ground, and then 30 crunches. This is round 2. Based on the fact that I've got to get in 2 minutes of biking, I should get at least, I reckon, 5 rounds done. So let's keep it going. Just got to get through this, and then Jamaica, here I come. Oh dear. I mean, I didn't actually say, but it'd be interesting to find out from you what you think about the whole, SATs. Should SATs still be a thing for Key Stage 2? Are they too young for this level of pressure and testing? What does it prove? What does it prove? I mean, secondary schools, do you actually use the SATs results? I know that we use it as a measure of what happens from primary to secondary, but in the reality of things, when they get to secondary school, they do discount the SATs results in most places. And by the time you get to GCSE, children have changed so much that what they did at the age of 11, some children, bear in mind, are still 10 when they're taking their SATs because it's in May. So what children are still doing at the ages of 10 and 11 is very different from where they're going to be at the age of 15, 16 when they take their GCSEs. So is SATs really, in the grand scheme of things, a fair measure of children's capabilities? I mean, I would argue that it's not. I would argue that it does put on undue pressure. I would argue that there is no gain for children to do SATs. No, not personal. There's no personal gain for them, is there? I mean, So, yeah, I reckon SATs should be well and truly abolished. But that's just me. That is just one head teacher, psychotherapy counsellor, YouTuber's view on SATs. I did lose count of how many that I've done. That's not really a surprise, is it? Oh goodness. That's 2. Workout done. I only managed 3 rounds, which I'm a bit confused about. I did have to ask Alexa if she'd put the right timer on, because I had 2 minutes of bikes, that's 6 minutes. It did not take me another 2 minutes to do the plates and the crunches, so I don't know what happened. But anyway, I only managed 3, such is life. If you've kept with me, stayed with me this far, with my little plea for why SATs should not be the be all end all, well done, thank you. Please remember to like the video if you like it. Thank you to all those who have subscribed. Thank you to all those who have shared. Thank you just to all my supporters. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I do love doing these, and it does keep me accountable. I do like training anyway, but doing the videos as well keeps me accountable. So thank you for being my accountability partners. I really do appreciate it. I will be uploading videos over the summer, probably more very frequently to be fair, but whatever you are doing, please make sure you get a good rest. Let me know in the comments below. Not many people comment still. Is it because you're shy? Do you not want to be known Is it because you're thinking, oh, you know, eyes out there watching, Ofsted out there, DFE out there, they see me commenting? Because the DFE do that. I have known that the DFE do monitor some, and I'm not saying I'm one of those type of influencers, but there have been some people on Twitter, some of your larger names in education on Twitter, who have said that when they've asked for freedom of request about what the DFE have found out about them or something like that, they've basically seen and been going through their tweets, and then they don't invite them to speak at certain events. So maybe that's you in terms of, oh, I don't want to be seen, I want to be stealth-like. That's fine, but just, I don't know, leave a comment to say, yeah, Amanda, you're talking rubbish, or yeah, Amanda, I agree. That won't get you into trouble. Or just a thumbs up. Anyway, enjoy whatever you're going to do over the coming 6 weeks, if you have 6 weeks, 5 weeks if you have 5 weeks, and I will see you in the next video, which will be coming to you, not live, but direct from somewhere in Jamaica. See you later.